I work as an IT project manager and I don't have any formal training. Most people think you need to be deeply technical in order to land PM jobs in IT or tech, but that's simply not true. In this video, I'm going to show you that you don't need to be a tech expert in order to become a project manager. I'm also going to break down the word IT. There are so many different subdomains within IT that you can find jobs in. And I'm also going to show you guys that you probably already have some kind of exposure to some kind of IT or tech domain and why you should focus on that in order to get your first job as a project manager in IT or tech. So if I was to ask you, what do you think IT is, or what do you think technology is, what do you think of? Do you think of servers? Do you think of databases? Do you think of applications? Do you think of algorithms? Do you think of infrastructure? Do you think of network? See, there are so many different domains within the word IT or tech. And so it's very important that we know exactly what we're talking about when we mention that word and how it applies to us and what we're looking to do, what kind of project we're looking to do. So what I actually want to do here is show you guys all the different domains that exist in IT or tech that you could potentially be a part of. And I actually want to show you guys the different projects in these domains and why you might have done some kind of similar project at home and how you can actually relate it or use that experience in getting a job in corporate for that kind of project. So let's take a look at the different IT tech domains that exist right now. And this is by no means all the tech domains that exist. These are just a subset of the ones that I'm familiar with. So you could find projects in infrastructure and network. You could find projects in networking and connectivity. That would be considered IT as well. You can find projects in cloud platforms. That's also IT and tech. You can find projects in identity and access management, identity management. You can find there's a lot of projects right now in cybersecurity. That's why a lot of people are getting cybersecurity certificates. And so there are lots of projects in this domain as well. There are projects in databases and data and analytics. There are projects in application and software delivery, all still considered IT and tech projects. There are enterprise business system application, business system implementation type projects. Again, all these fall under IT and tech. IT service management, maybe you work in IT help desk or in service desk, and there are projects within those types of platforms, upgrading those systems, upgrading Jira or implementing ServiceNow, and that would be considered within the IT service management domain. There are end user computing workplace type projects, again, within IT and tech, integration and automation type projects, and then also projects that might be a bit more industrial, working with machinery, but also have IT tech components. And so I show all these domains to show you guys that there are several different domains that you could be a part of. Now I want to touch on just a couple of them here just to show you that you guys might have already worked on some of these projects at home, and that experience can actually be used in you finding a job in that area. So let's kind of take a look at infrastructure and networks. So when we're dealing with infrastructure networks, you might be working with servers and virtualization and storage and backups, and you might be working with hardware like computers and printers and operating systems. And so at a personal level, at like a hobby level, you might have done some stuff at home. If you like doing this kind of stuff, maybe you built a home Plex media server for storing and managing your movie collection. Maybe you installed a external storage system for your family photos. Maybe you have terabytes of family photos and you implemented a external system at home so you don't lose your data. And how this could translate, or that same kind of knowledge that you might have gained from doing that, and how this could translate into projects in the corporate domain. For example, you might be doing things like data center migration from an old server to new hardware, a virtual machine consolidation using VMware. Now, because you might have played around and done these things at home by creating a media server at home or setting up an external drive at home and dealing with different types of memory sizes and working with different types of storage and capacities, you will now have some type of working knowledge in that area, some type of context in that area. And why that's so beneficial is because think about it from the perspective of the hiring manager. So if a hiring manager they're conducting a project in their specific department and they're looking to upgrade servers, for example, they're looking to upgrade all the servers in their domain to the latest version of Windows Server 2022 or whatever the latest version is. Now, when they're interviewing project managers and when they're looking at people's resumes, they're going to try to look for, does this person have knowledge in the area that we're working in? if we're doing servers, does this guy have some kind of idea about servers, or at least something adjacent to servers that he or she will be able to have conversations with our developers, our engineers, our technical folks about this stuff, so that he can work with them and get this stuff upgraded or get the project moving. And so if you don't have any knowledge in that area at all, then the hiring manager is going to say, well, this guy might be a great project manager, but he doesn't necessarily have the context, or he doesn't have the vocabulary in this area to be able to handle this kind of project. And so you need to be able to show that in your resume, that you do have the right vocabulary, that you are familiar with these things, so that you can manage such a project. Now, I really want to stress that you don't need to be the technical expert, right? Remember, we always said is that you have experience at home working on a hobby type project, working with servers or playing around with servers, and you did it at like a personal level. Maybe you're thinking, dude, I'm not crazy technical, like I don't know how to manage a whole project upgrading servers. I've never done that myself. Yeah, I played around with a couple of servers at home, but I never really upgraded something at such a large scale. That's the wrong way to think about it. You as a project manager, you are not the technical lead. You are not the expert. You are not being hired to come in to design the technical architecture or the technical implementation of how this thing is going to get upgraded. You are just there to manage and make sure that that project gets done, that the servers actually get upgraded. And so for you, the most important thing is your soft skills as a project manager, to be able to lead and work with the people and make sure the work gets done, to track the work, to make sure things are moving. And you need to have PM knowledge, project management knowledge, to make sure you're doing the things the PM needs to do, like risk management, tracking dependencies, tracking the schedule, making sure the budget's on track, all those things that a PM needs to do. And then thirdly, you need to make sure that when you're in meetings and you're working with the developer, you're working with the engineer, you're working with the network engineer, you're working with a database analyst, whomever you're working with that's responsible for executing on doing the upgrades, this is where your knowledge, your just basic rudimentary knowledge of servers, we're just using servers as an example here, that rudimentary knowledge, that's where it's going to come into play in those meetings, in those weekly project meetings that you have with those folks. Now, the way those meetings go, the technical folks are not looking to you as a project manager to tell them what to do. Your job as a project manager on those meetings is really just to get the conversation going, asking the right questions, right? So let me give you an example. Maybe you're working on a server upgrade project. You've got your different, you've got your network engineer, you've got a database analyst, you've got someone from the Windows team, you got various folks on there. And so now you as a project manager, because you've played around with servers before, you have some idea of kind of how these things work. Maybe you've never upgraded a server yourself, but that doesn't matter. You can ask questions like, what version of Windows are all these servers on? Which one are we looking to move to? Okay, how much space is on these servers? Are these virtual servers or are they physical servers? If there's any risks with upgrading these servers, are there any dependencies? Are there applications hosted on this server that we need to be thinking about? Are there any databases on these servers that are not compatible with the new version of the Windows server operating system? And so these are the types of questions that you would have context to, that you would be privy to, if you have some knowledge in that area. And remember, you are not the expert. These types of questions, these are just rudimentary or basic information that you would have about this domain if you have some experience, even at home, working on your own hobby project. And so the key here is, with that minimum vocabulary in that specific domain, you can ask the right questions, you can get your team moving forward and taking action and getting real conversation in those meetings to move the project forward. That is the key. Again, you are not the technical expert. You are just there to facilitate and keep things moving forward. Ask the right questions, get them to start talking, and then devising a plan on how things are going to move forward. So now I want you to take a moment and think back and actually look at all the different domains that I just shared with you: infrastructure, networking, cloud platforms, identity access, cybersecurity. There's so many different domains. Think about your background, what you might have done at a personal level or even at a corporate or professional level. Take a look back and see where you're the most strongest. Do you feel like you have the most information or most working knowledge in data database and analytics, in cloud platforms, in application and software delivery, in programming? Where do you have the most interest and where do you have the most knowledge? Because that's what's going to allow you to kind of get your foot in the door and be able to have real conversations with the employer to be able to convince them that you are right for the job. One way to test that you can handle such a project in a specific IT tech domain is, can you have a 30 to 1 minute conversation about that specific technology, right? So let's say you are being hired to work on a computer upgrade project. Are you able to ask the right questions in an interview to show that, hey, you have some knowledge about this thing, right? Again, you are not responsible for knowing how to upgrade the operating system. You are not responsible for imaging the computers before they come in and before they're released. You are not responsible for any type of security stack or loading any type of security software onto the computer. You don't need to know about any of that. But see what I just did there? I was able to ask, okay, so do we need to image these computers? Do we need to load security stacks on these computers? And I can only do that if I have some knowledge or some context about the thing that we're doing in this domain. And so I want to share a quick example. When I was actually getting hired for a project manager role for the specific type of project, actually an upgrade modernization project, where I was going to be handling upgrading computers to the latest version of Windows, from Windows 7 to Windows 11 or Windows 7 to Windows 10. When I was actually being hired for this role, the interviewers never asked me technical questions on, do you know how to upgrade the operating system? Or do you know how to image a computer? Or do you know how much RAM should be on a computer, or what the processor should be? They didn't ask me any of these technical questions. They just looked at my soft skills. Do I know how to communicate? And will I be a good leader? Will I be able to organize the work and work with the different team members? Does my personality match with the different teams that I'll be working with? Will my personality match with them, the portfolio manager, the program manager, the director? Will I be able to work with them? That's what they were focusing on. The very small part of the interview was focused on, hey, does this guy actually know about this stuff? Does he know that we've got 7 different sites all across the world, some in the USA, some in Mexico, some in Uruguay? We have all these different manufacturing facilities with different equipment, and we need to get them all upgraded. Does he know? Does he have the vocabulary? Is he using the right words to show that he'll be able to upgrade this equipment and work with the different teams? And so that's where they might ask you, or where they did ask me in the interview, how would you approach it? What would you do to get this equipment upgraded? How are you going to track it? And so that's where I was able to demonstrate that, oh yes, I have knowledge about Windows and operating systems, and I would work with the site IT team to review all the equipment that needs to get upgraded. I would see if there's any issues with compatibilities with upgrading from Windows 7 to Windows 10, and if there's issues with specific applications, then I would work with the application owners to get those applications upgraded, make sure they're compatible before actually executing on the upgrade, test them out before deploying them out to production. And so you're able to have those types of conversations only because you have some context in that domain. Again, by no means am I an IT expert. I could not upgrade a computer or image a computer. I mean, sure, I could probably learn to do it, but current state, technically I couldn't. I just don't know how. But if there's one thing I could leave you with here in this video, is that you do not need to be the technical expert. You don't need formal technical training to become a project manager in the domain. You just need to have working knowledge, working vocabulary in that domain. By having that, and then also pairing it with a strong fundamental knowledge of PM, project management, how to manage projects, and also core solid soft skills like communication, leadership, organization, problem solving, having the right attitude, that is what's going to make you a very strong project manager and make you successful in a career in project management, especially in IT and tech, if that's what you're looking to get into. So hopefully I've kind of dispelled the belief there that you need to be deeply technical to manage IT tech type projects. And also there are dozens of domains out there in enterprise-wide application implementations like Workday, HR system implementation. There's so many different types of domains that you could kind of potentially be in. And so we explored that there's many different areas that you can be a part of it. And so you don't necessarily need to have knowledge in all of the domains. You might just have some knowledge in cybersecurity, or some knowledge in infrastructure, or some knowledge in servers, a little bit of knowledge in these areas. And that is enough for you to be able to convince a recruiter, convince a hiring manager that you know how to manage these projects, as long as you can have a 30-second to 1-minute conversation about that thing ask the right questions, and you will easily be able to pass the interview. So hopefully you guys found this video useful. Like I said, I don't have any technical formal training. Yet here I am managing IT tech projects. I've now managed software deployments, application upgrades, server upgrades, modernization of equipment, and database upgrades. I've managed lots of different areas, and I barely know about any of these from a technical perspective. I just have, I've just tasted all of them a little bit here and there. And so I hope you found this video useful. I'm curious to know what you're thinking, what type of domain you're looking to enter. Is it in IT and tech? And then if it's in IT and tech, which kind of area specifically are you trying to focus in? Where do you feel like you have the most knowledge and interest? And I'm curious to know, so please let me know in the comment below. Also, if you did like this video, if you did feel like this was beneficial and helpful to you, please like and subscribe. It really means a lot. I'm just getting started on my YouTube journey. I've been a project manager for 8+ years, and I just started my YouTube journey. I'm like 30 days in, and so I would really appreciate you liking, subscribing, sharing if you found this valuable. And I've got a lot more stuff coming, and so I want you to be part of this journey because I am not planning to stop. So I'll see you soon on the next one.